Hi guys. Okay, just seeing if get my camera and everything's sorted. Welcome. Okay, I was going to write this as a post, but it was going to take forever to write. It's going to be a very, very long one. So I just wanted to chat to you a little bit about what's going on energetically and what I'm feeling energetically anyway, and what I'm seeing happening. And there is a lot. I feel like we're birthing a new earth. And we've been doing this for a while. We've been in labour for a while. The Earth's been in labour for a while, for quite a few years now. And we're getting to the point where the contractions are starting to get a lot more intense. And so our experiences are starting to get a little bit more intense. And it feels like it's happening. The waves of it happening are quickening as well, like the contractions speeding up and getting closer together. So what I've been seeing is there's been this, we've had an energetic grid that has been the program for the earth. So if you think about a computer, we've been using Microsoft operating system, and we're now switching to a completely different operating system. And the old grid, whenever I saw it, it's no longer there. It's just a crumble of ruins now, but it was like a dark pyramid. And this grid system needed all of us to be connected to it for it to work. Think of pyramid selling schemes. It was very similar to that. And this allowed a lot of people at the top to have control and power. And it allowed that program or that structure to be filtered down to every part of our life. Think of your families, think of schooling, think of businesses. There's this structure of hierarchy that happens. And that's not to say that that is not needed or important, but it has been used as a way of control for a very long time, and it's used, has been abused. It's been distorted from its truth of what it actually is about. And anyway, that old structure, that old grid, energetic grid, has been broken down. It's no longer there. And this happened a little while ago, a month or two ago, a couple of months ago. And we are now moving to having our own, and I've talked about this before, having our own unique grid underneath us. And it's like these circles. So if you think of a person here, and they've got their own little grid pattern here, and there's like these ripples, like when you throw a stone in the water, rippling out, and each person's ripples connect to everybody else's, but each person has a direct connection. There's no hierarchy happening. And this is causing a lot of unrest. There's a lot of people who were very connected into the old way, into the old way of being. And so for them, it is feeling very, very unsettling. Very, very, excuse my dogs and my kids. They're all going nuts. They seem to do that whenever I start recording. They've been quiet all morning. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm finding as I'm speaking about these things, there is a lot of negative energy that is not wanting me to speak about these things and talk about these things. So I'm finding that everything that I'm doing at the moment is pushing through these negative influences and the psychic attack that happens. So I'm having to protect. I've never had to protect and shield myself as I have in the last month or so. Never in my life. It has been so ongoing, the barrage of negative attack. And each time I talk about power, each time I talk about connecting to these, connecting you guys to your own grids, I get this incoming energy. And so my dogs, I think, who are very, 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 very sensitive, seem to pick it up every time this happens. So anyway, so let's get back to the grid. So what's happening is there's a lot of the beliefs, the programs and the patterns that were attached to this old way of being and this old energetic operating system that are now becoming obsolete. And part of that is that we go through a big shedding process. We go through a big letting go. And there's a lot of people who are experiencing, it feels like there's a lot of experiences where they're being forced upon us because it's shifting so many things for us. Now, those who are working with it, those who can feel it and are working with it, are moving ahead and a lot more smoothly. Like if we keep taking it back to labour and birth, when you move with the contractions, when you move with the energy and the flow of the birthing process, it can even be to the point where it's joyful and orgasmic and no pain. It's when we resist and when we are fearful and when we are scared that the contractions slow down, they start to get more painful. Our body stops doing what it needs to do. It stops flowing and being in harmony. So that is like this process that is going on as well. The more we are resistant, the more we are fearful, the harder it gets. And so some of the things that I'm noticing that it's bringing about, okay, there's a big breakdown in this tribe connection, this tribal idea. And that's not, this is a distorted energetic program and pattern of tribe, because it's not the true nature of tribe. It's a distortion that we have somehow taken on as humanity. And these ideas, these programs become codependent. It becomes about, if you step outside of the tribe, you are going to die. And you will affect the tribe. Now, I'm going to open up a whole big can of worms here, because I'm going to, this is not, I will not be discussing pro or anti-vaccine. I want to talk about the collective energy of what is going on as a society in relation to this topic. It is not about the topic. So there is this idea, this program that people are clinging to, that we need to have everybody vaccinated for everybody to keep safe. Now, that is an old tribal program of everybody needs to be part of the tribe. Everybody needs to be working together in the tribe for it to be successful, for the tribe to survive. If people keep going outside of the tribe, then the tribe becomes vulnerable. Now, this is the same, it happens in families. It's very strong in families. Our tribe, then the same energy relates to our families, and down we've got society, families, it is all communities, and then families. It is all the same energy. It's just being played out at different levels. So in families, we see this happen very much. There is this programming that, think about the black sheep of the family. It's the typical way of describing the person who's gone outside the tribe. They've gone outside the family dynamics of what is acceptable in each family, and each family has a different what's acceptable and what's appropriate and what we all will tolerate and accept. And the black sheep is normally the person that goes outside of that. Now, when that happens, the normal reaction that we go to is to shame that person, or to attack that person, or to guilt them into coming back to be part of the tribe. And the reason we do it is because of our fear. It is our fear that we are unsafe with people leaving the tribe or being outside the tribe. Think about the people who live on the outside of mainstream society. A lot of people find that hard. They don't know how to deal with these people who don't live by the same mainstream rules as the rest of us. Look at, I'm going to bring up another topic. Look at the government at the moment, trying to move all these Aboriginal communities off their land. These are people who live outside our mainstream, who live outside our idea of tribe. Now, yes, the government wants the land for mining, but they also want to move these people because they're not seen as important. They're seen as going to upset the tribe, upset the family, upset the nucleus here. Now, all of that programming was in place to support this old grid. If you all stayed part of the tribe, part of the mainstream, part of the family, it then has the power, because it's about taking power. It has no source of power of its own. And so everybody needs to be plugged in to get power, and everybody needs to be able to access that power so the people above can access that power. Think of a business, a big business, okay? If they didn't have workers, then the person at the top can't make money. And so they need those workers to make money. Now, this is because it's become a distorted program. It has been about control and power instead of there is some beautiful businesses being created and that have been growing that are based on, and it's not equality because everybody is different. It's equality in that everybody is different and we all have different roles to play. It's like saying all men are bad because they're not like women, and all women are bad because we're not like men, rather than the equality of being, I am an amazing woman and I'm an amazing man. And that's it. And that's equal. They don't have to be the same. So it's not about being the same. And so we're seeing all these programs and patterns with no foundation anymore, nothing to connect to. And so they are all having to fall away. So you might see this being played out in your families. You might see it being played out in your workplaces. You might see it being played out in areas of your life. You might see it being played out, obviously, in bigger society. And all of this breakdown, all of this upset, all of this emotion is coming because people are holding on to this fear. They are feeling so unsafe. Their foundations have gone, and it makes everybody scared at a very deep level. And so then we have these reactions coming from that place. Okay, so I want to talk to you about, I wanted to share with you, not to make this a, there's no blame involved. As you move up, there's no blame. It just is. People are where we are. There is no, this is perfect and this is not. This is bad and this is good. There's none of that. That is another thing that is being broken down. As you move up in frequency and vibration and spiritual awareness, you lose this either or. You're able to hold a multidimensional view within your being. You also see that there is no right or wrong. Everything is perfect and divine. And so there is no blame here. There's no saying, oh my God, I was attached to that pattern in that program. Oh, I'm such a terrible person. No, it's not like that. It's about letting go of them and shifting to new. And that's why there's been all this talk about creating something new, doing new things, choosing differently. Because you are creating that grid. When we talk about the grid that's below you, you are programming that at the moment, learning to connect to it and programming it. Now, how do you want your grid to be programmed? Do you want it full of love and abundance, or do you want it full of fear? So you get to choose that. Also, what is happening is a lot of people are reaching out for this old grid, and they will reach out in ways that are patterns and programs and behaviors that they are used to. So part of that is this codependence thing that's going on, that if I reach out here, either attacking or even just blaming, or even just secretly like trying to be nice, but we're not really coming from a good place. You know, I'm sure we've all done that, where we're just playing the role. All of those things are reaching out, trying to grab hold of this grid, trying to grab power, because we're feeling so unpowerful, because we are not connected to our own, and this other grid has gone. And so part of connecting to your own grid, is having to go through your stuff. And so that's why some of us are moving through it easier because we're prepared to move through our stuff. We understand the process. We've worked through our shadow before. We know what we're about. We've done this process before. And so we're able to let go and move through it. And so I encourage you to think about this, bring some awareness in what is going on. Are you not going through your stuff? Are you resisting going through your stuff? Because we have to go down and through to this grid. And there's a purpose behind that. When you go down and through, and nobody can do it for you, which there's another purpose behind that as well. When you go down and through, you have to go through your shadow. When you go through your shadow, you will finally realize and understand that you are perfect and divine. And so as you're connecting to your grid, you will then be programming it with this from a place of being a full self, rather than hiding the parts of ourselves that we think are bad. And again, it ties into that bad and good thing. You will realize that there is no bad and good as you go down into yourself, that it is all just perfect and divine and wonderful. There's also been programs and patterns that have encouraged us and influenced us to believe in this distorted version of who we are, that there's this distortion that we are somehow bad, inherently bad within us. And so a lot of people will not go down into their stuff. They're too scared, let alone scared of the emotion. So I encourage all of you, as it comes up, let it go. That your body is already naturally doing this. Your soul knows what to do, so allow it. Flow with it. Part of the old programming was structure. And so to connect to these new grids, it's not about structure. And that can be scary. It's about going with the flow. And we all revert back to this structure. Where's the structure behind it? How do I do it? How do I make it safe? Structure held us and made us feel safe because we felt secure in this structure. Think about children. There's a lot of children who feel safer with structure around them when they know what's going to happen. Think about even us. We like to know what's going to happen, but we're in a whole new and amazing time on our planet where we are birthing a whole new earth, and it's never been done before. And so there is no structure, there is no rule book to this. And it is scary for a lot of people to have that. So I encourage you guys to look at all of those areas, because all of us feel it in different ways and at different levels. And we all have these programs and patterns in varying degrees. Okay, so go with the flow, move with it, allow your soul to do its work. It is serving a purpose. It is going to be wonderful and amazing to see a world that has more of this programming happening. Okay, and what was the other thing? There was something else that was serving a purpose as well. I can't remember it now. It's gone from my head. Sorry, guys. Okay. It must be going to be about another time. So I encourage you guys, I wanted to share with you, to encourage you guys to look at your stuff, okay, to move with it, to work out if something is coming up in your life, do it differently, whatever it is. If it's family stuff going on, what's the normal way you would react and what's a completely different way you react? If it's workplace stuff, what's going on there? What would be a different way of acting, a different way of being in that experience? Now, also, I wanted to talk a little bit about, there's a lot of physical stuff happening as well, reaction to this. We're getting waves and waves of light entering the planet to help with this process. If you think of the waves of the contraction when you're giving birth, it's the same thing. There's waves and waves of light that are helping us. But what happens in that moment, like a contraction, we can get pain. Not always, but we can. And that pain is our physical body and our emotional bodies and our energetic bodies adjusting to the light. And like when you turn a light up and you make it more bright, the shadows become darker. The shadows were always there, they just become darker. And so we can feel lost, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel a lot of our physical body going through transformation. So a lot of us are finding food intolerances, energetic stuff where there's buzzing and ringing in our ears, tiredness, lethargy, or all of these things. It could, if you've already got diseases and illnesses, it can make them move about a bit and be unsettled. And so I encourage you to do a lot of energetic cleansing. I encourage you to do some physical cleansing, making sure, you know, try having Himalayan rock salt baths. Essential oils are wonderful, drinking lots of water, eating really nourishing food. Nourish yourself in so many ways, not just with food, but with self-care, lots of self-care. For some of you, you may need to be doing some extra shielding because there is a lot of negative energy around there. There's a lot of negative energies and entities that were attached to that old grid that do not want to see those old programs that they were feeding off being broken down. And so a lot of them are about at the moment. And you can see that being played out. Like this morning I was reading that the cartoonist who has had death threats and had to pull down the cartoon towards him and his family. And that's just the negative entities and energies that are really, really invested in these old programs and patterns. What else? I think that's about it. That's probably long enough. So anyway, much love to you guys. If you have any questions about it all, please, feel free to contact me. And I'll keep talking about it and see where it goes. And I look forward to this amazing birthing experience and what our new earth will be like in the future. Yeah, much love to you all. Blessings. Bye.